Wonderful. Good evening, members. I welcome you to this session. My name is Darius, and I'm very excited to be hosting you this evening as we talk about developing a savings culture. I very much welcome you to this session. If it's your very first time, you're very welcome. And if you've been with us, thank you for coming back again. So please, if any of your friends is not around and you're expecting them to be around, please call them. Let's discuss together. Let's learn together. Please give them a heads up so that they can come and we get started. I do not want anyone to miss out. Please send those reminders. Send that friend of yours that inbox. That friend of yours who has been struggling with developing a savings culture. That friend of yours who is always on your neck because they do not save. Call them right now so that we can get started. So I think if you've been part of the personal finance mastery group, where I expect many of you to be coming from, you're not new to such stuff. We always have our financial literacy sessions every Sunday at 5 p.m. So today is one of those days where we continue with our learning, and we hope that we will be developing a savings culture in our country. We'll be building a financially literate generation so that we can be able to grow together, so that no one is going to be left behind just because they do not have knowledge. So once again, you're welcome. And today we are going to be talking about building a savings culture. Maybe just as we get started, here we are today. Usually I host other people, but today I'll be speaking to you myself. So I'll take you a few slides and then later we'll be interacting. Please, if you have any questions, if you have any comments, feel free to type them in the chat room so that we can move ahead and learn together. I'll be able to respond to all the questions. If you have any, please put them in the chat room. Once again, my name is Darius. I'm a financial literacy trainer. I'm certified by Bank of Uganda, having undergone the financial literacy training of trainers program way back about 6 years ago. And since then, I've trained more than 2,000 people and helping them to become better with their personal finances. So these people include individuals, include Rotary clubs, include investment clubs, including circles, including women groups. I've been interacting with them over a long time, and I've learned a lot as I've been interacting with these people. I've learned a lot as I've been practicing, and those are some of the lessons that I always share whenever I have an opportunity to. So please feel free, know that you're in safe hands, know that I'm ready to interact with you, know that I would also like to interact with others, and I know that we will continue to interact more even after this session. So if today is your first time to be part of these sessions, you may want to find our previous sessions on YouTube. So if you check on YouTube, you'll find the channel Personal Finance with Darius, and then please subscribe so that you can see the previous videos that we've had, and then you'll be able to enjoy the content. You'll find we discuss topics like budgeting and expenses management, habits for personal finance excellence, investing in unit trusts, investing in company shares. We've talked about investing in government treasury bills and bonds. We've talked about saving for emergencies. We've talked about knowing and avoiding Ponzi schemes. We've talked about investing in real estate. Those are some of the topics that you'll be able to find on our YouTube. Just know that even the future topics will always be hosted there. So just check YouTube, Personal Finance with Darius, for some of our previous sessions. So just as we get into today's session, I would like to start with this quote from T.T. Munger. Munger says, "The habit of saving is in itself an education. It fosters every virtue, teaches self-denial, cultivates the sense of order, trains to forethought, and so broadens the mind." The topic of saving is one that many people feel like they know about. Many people feel like they have heard about. Many people feel like they know something about it and they want to do something about it. But later, when you get into the reality and you want to find out who exactly is practicing this culture of spending, who of these people that have heard about saving are doing it, very few people are practicing it. Many people struggle, and there are many reasons that we are going to be talking about why many people struggle with developing a savings culture. We'll talk about them, but later we'll also talk about some of the ways how we can overcome. Of course, we'll also talk about some of the reasons why you need to develop a savings culture, you as a person. We'll talk about some of the ways of how we can build one that is going to last and is going to be able to help us on this journey of building wealth. As we'll talk in our discussion going forward, you're going to realize that saving is the first step in the journey to building wealth. So the more you learn this habit, create this culture, and then utilize these savings, there's a lot that you're going to learn. And then when you apply this, move on and start saving and start investing what you've saved, you're going to be able to see your journey to building wealth growing. So please stay on course, and then let's move together. So I would like to pick up some people, and you can post in the chat room. Please tell me, what do you understand by savings in your own words? In your own words, what do you understand by savings? I kindly encourage you to just type in the chat room, and I'll pick up some of the responses. Yeah, but as I pick up some of the responses and how you understand it in your own terms, okay? I have Jen Engao is saying, keeping off some of the money you earn for future use. Then Daphne says, keeping away some money for future use. Thank you. Saving for future use. Harry used the same word in his definition. Patience says, putting money aside for a rainy day. That's fantastic. Roy says, reserving part of one's earnings for future financial security. Thank you very much. Samuel says, putting a portion of your earnings for future investment or emergency. Fantastic. Rachel says, putting away some of your money for investment. Wonderful. Gamma says, putting a portion of your money for later use. Fantastic. So very much, as you can see that you're not deviating from me. I'll be picking up the rest of the comments later. Saving means that you're going to put some of your money away for future use. And the future use could be for emergencies, could be for short-term goals. And typically, I would like to encourage you that when you're talking about savings, do not keep your money for long, as we are going to be seeing mainly these future needs that you're going to have. That is the purpose for which you're going to be saving. And then if I can move forward, because we are seeking to understand what a savings culture is, moving away from savings. A savings culture is a type of mentality that you create in yourself, that you build in yourself, that you cultivate over time. A mentality that saving or putting money aside for future use is good, and therefore you go ahead and practice it and start putting that money aside. So it's not just about an understanding or knowing that mentality or knowing that saving is good, but going ahead and practicing so that you can be able to reap the benefits of putting money aside. Many people don't save because they think they don't have enough to save. And usually, like I've already mentioned, this is a mentality that we ought to deal with if you're going to start our journey to financial freedom. Developing a savings culture is to discipline yourself into saving money regularly. So once you've understood that putting money aside for future use is what savings is, and then you understand that I now need to create habits, build a discipline that is going to help me put money aside regularly, that is what we call a savings culture. Over time, your savings culture is going to lead you to building wealth through investments, like we are going to talk about in the next few slides. So we don't save just for the sake of saving, but when we save with the right purpose in mind, we are going to be able to create a wealth because we are going to utilize our savings for investment purposes. So if I can move ahead, many people fail to save, and there are a number of reasons why many people fail to save. So if we can look at some of them, some people, as obvious as it may seem, some people do not know about this concept of savings. And I've talked to many people, even those people who I thought that it should be obvious to them that actually saving is important, and they actually need to, need to start doing it, or by now they should be doing it. You find that very many people are struggling. And why? When you ask them and when you try to dig deeper, you find that they actually do not know some of these concepts, despite many people talking about them, despite us having a couple of sessions and discussing savings, discussing why it is important, offering tips why it is important to save. Many more people still do not know. So that's why I would encourage you that if you have a friend who is not yet here, please invite them to join and become part of this session so that we can learn and grow together. Then many of us have poor money habits, and these poor money habits are going to vary. Maybe it is impulse spending. Maybe it is this habit of saying that me, I have to live for now. I do not care about what the future is. So therefore, every money that I make, I must spend it. Some of us do not budget our expenses. We do not know how much we are spending on what. So as long as money comes, the next day we know that money has already gone. We start going back to calculate in our minds. I received 2 million salary at the end of the month. Today is 13th of the next month, but I do not know where all my money went. Then we start making calculations in our heads. Where did all this money go? Those are some of the bad habits, because we do not track our expenses. We do not budget what we are going to spend on. We do not know that we need to put something aside even before we start spending, and therefore that limits us from saving. Then some of us have too much debt. Well, we might have the knowledge, we might have the understanding that saving is very important. We know that we need to do it, but because of the habits that we've created previously, and then they put us into too much debt, realize that we are now trapped. We are now trapped in that cycle of having to cater for the debts that we accumulated before, and therefore we fail to save. Of course, it is going to take a mature mindset, a mature financial literacy mindset to be able to get out of this debt and be able to start to save. So some of us, we say that because I'm already in debt, I will resign, and I'll know that maybe one day I'll get a huge chunk of money, and that's what I'll use to clear my debt and start the journey towards savings. Some of us do not have financial goals, and because we do not have financial goals, we do not have direction. And because we do not have direction, there is no reason for us to save, or there's nothing that pushes us to save. So you as a person, by now, I hope you are evaluating yourself and you are asking yourself, where do I lie? If I struggle with saving, what are some of these things that affect me from saving? Then, of course, some of us have a bad attitude towards savings. Earlier, I already indicated and talked about some people who say that I do not save money. I need to live for now. I need to enjoy my life. I need to happen. I need to move with trends. If a new iPhone is out, I need to go with it. Saving is for losers. Saving is not for people like me. Saving is for people who want to starve themselves. So such kinds of mindsets limit us from starting our savings journey, and therefore we always struggle. And in the end, we find ourselves struggling. But we must realize that as a people, we need to cultivate that culture. We need to build that discipline, because when we do that, regardless of how much money we are earning, we are going to be able to start making financial headway. We must train ourselves to be able to save for at least save something each pay period. If you earn weekly, save something weekly. If you earn monthly, save something monthly. If you earn daily, save something daily. If you earn biannually, whichever way. So you need to look at yourself. Over time, you can start small, and then over time you can always increase how much you are saving. So having said that, having tried to convince you that you need to look at your habits of why you are failing to save and why you need to start too. What are some of the reasons you need to start saving and putting something aside? And there are many reasons. I could develop a list of up to 30 reasons of why you should save. But for the purposes of this session, I'm just going to pick out a few. And I know you yourself, you can help me and put in the chat room some of those reasons of why you need to start saving. Please put them in the chat room and I'll be able to pick them up. So one of the reasons is you need to be able to handle emergencies. Of course, we all know that in one way or the other, we do not know what is going to happen 1 month, 2 months from now. Something could happen and it becomes an emergency and it requires you to have some money with you. And if you do not have money with you, you are going to struggle, and that's how you're going to find yourself getting into more and more debt. So if you have some savings with you, it is going to help you to be able to get out of that emergency easily. So for that reason, it is very important for you to start thinking about creating a savings culture. The other reason is to overcome debt. Like I said, some of us, we find ourselves trapped in debt, maybe because of the habits that we've had in the past, that maybe we built unknowingly, and then in the end, they had to affect how much debt we had. We found it increasing and increasing. Many of us, when we finished university, we start earning and we start making money for ourselves. We find it very easy that we need to happen. We find ourselves that we need to go to that classy apartment. You find yourself that you need to have a good car. You find yourself that you need to have a well-furnished room. And you say that because I'm working for a certain corporate entity, my room has to be a certain standard. I need to live in a certain area. Sometimes, unluckily for us, we cannot comfortably finance this lifestyle that we want to create. And as a result, you know what happens? We go to debt, because these days it is very easy to afford debt. It's very easy to access debt, especially if you're earning something. Banks will be looking for you, and then they will be convincing you that, look, you're earning on a monthly basis, and since you're earning on a monthly basis, we can offer you this loan, and then we can always take something from your salary. And many of us, because we've not had enough financial education, we always find ourselves being tempted. We take this loan. We even do not know what we are going to use it for. But and in the end, the bank has to recover this money. And when it is recovering this money, it is recovering it with interest. And when it is covering it with interest, sometimes we forget to meet our obligations, and then this loan keeps accumulating. And then we find that we have too much debt. Now, to get out of that debt, it is very imperative that we build a savings culture. When we build a savings culture, we are going to have a buffer that will help us to overcome that. Of course, many of us usually dream of financial freedom. Many of us usually dream of a time when we know that we can deal with all our financial needs comfortably. So if you want to get to that point, developing a savings culture is going to be one of the things that you're going to put on your priorities. Why? Like I earlier alluded to, when you develop a savings culture and start putting some savings away, you're going to create a buffer, which you're then going to use to invest. And then when you invest, you're going to start to generate wealth. And when you generate wealth, you're going to earn income, which in the end is going to help you build wealth, which will in turn lead you to financial freedom. So the next 3 points, I think you can see that I've tried to explain them all together. So also savings will help you to create a buffer for investment, and it is the first step towards creating wealth. So as a person, what are some of the things that you're going to do to develop a savings culture? And this is the meat of the discussion. This is where I think this is what we all came to listen to. What I've been giving you has been building you to this so that you're ready for it. So I'll give you about 10 pointers, and I'll make sure that I explain them well so that by the end of this session, you're going to pick at least one and then follow through with all the rest, so that by the end of this year, I know December is about to start, and usually when December is going to end, many of us thinking about New Year resolutions. Maybe as you start to plan for this year end, that is one of the things that you're going to be thinking about. How do I develop a savings culture? How do I make sure that I put my finances in order when we get to the new year? So these are some of the things that you can start off as we end 2021, so that as we begin 2022, you will have already started on this journey and you're going to be ready. So one of the things that you're going to need if you're going to create a savings culture, you need to have an end goal and then commit to it. So you need to ask yourself, if I've realized that yes, it is very important to save. Maybe I've had bad habits before that have stopped me from doing that, and you want now to start on a new journey towards creating a savings culture. One of the things that you're going to need is having goals, and then these goals are going to help you, give you direction, build you, and make sure that you're able to do what? You're able to, like, you have direction which will guide you, and then whenever you feel like you're veering off, you ask yourself, what is my goal that I have? What am I saving towards? And how can I utilize it to make sure that I remain on track? So when you have a goal, it gives you direction, it helps you to have that commitment, and helps you to know that this is what I'm working towards. And in case I'm trying to fall back, that means I'm falling back towards meeting my goal. That is going to help you. The next thing that you're going to have to do is have an honest assessment of yourself and your money habits. So you need to look around and ask yourself, how are you managing your money? And you need to ask yourself, for example, where do I get my money from, or how much money do I have? And whenever I have it, how do I utilize it? Where is it? Where does it go? You're also going to ask yourself questions like, am I spending less than I'm making, or am I spending more than I'm making? Of course, if you're spending more, then it's going to help you to start thinking about strategies. How can I start to spend less? Because the equation of saving, the equation of wealth involves you spending less than you are earning. You're also going to ask yourself, do I have a savings culture? If I don't have it, what do I need to do? You're going to ask yourself, am I good at budgeting? Do I have a budget anyway? And what do I need to start one? You're also going to ask yourself, do I have an emergency fund? Do I need one? Of course you need one, but you're going to ask yourself, how do I start towards building one so that I'm very safe in case something happens and I have an emergency with me? You're going to ask yourself, am I progressing? And you're going to ask yourself, what do I need to know that I'm progressing? How will I measure myself and know that I'm progressing if I'm not? As you doing that honest assessment of your money habits, you're going to ask yourself, am I happy with how I spend my finances? You're going to ask yourself, do I need to find different measures of how I can save? You're going to ask yourself, how much debt do I have? And is that limiting me from meeting my savings goals? So those are some of the questions that you are going to ask yourself as you're doing this honest assessment of yourself. The way you respond to these questions honestly or dishonestly is what is going to help you to move on to the next step. So once you've known where you are standing, whether you're happy with your spending habits, whether you're happy with your budget, in case you have one, whether you're happy with your savings culture, whether you're happy with your spending habits, then you can start whether you're not, whether you have debt and it's holding, you need to ask yourself, do I have knowledge and more knowledge that is going to help you towards building these habits and discipline that you need? This knowledge you can find in books. This knowledge you can find in such sessions like ours, which we have every Sunday at 5 p.m. This knowledge you can find in paid for sessions. You can look for sessions where where insightful speakers are, and you have to pay for those sessions. Make sure that you pay for it. This session you're going to find on YouTube videos. This session you're going to find on blogs. This session you're going to find on interacting with friends who are practicing these habits. This knowledge you're going to find in interacting with mentors, in interacting with coaches, in interacting with people that challenge you to get better with your personal finances. So once you have this knowledge, once you have accumulated this knowledge, the next step that's going to be very important for you is commit to change. Some of us accumulate knowledge. I've seen some of the people that are on this call, they have been here since we started these sessions. Some of them have been part of our WhatsApp community since last year when we started this WhatsApp community, but they still, every now and again, they come and they learn, but when it goes back to practicing, they do not practice. Why? Because they have not committed to change. They have not committed to making a better financial reality for themselves. So you need to commit. You need to say that I am tired of this poor savings culture. I am tired of holding myself back. I therefore need to start a journey towards bettering my financial reality. And once I'm going to do that, once I commit to change, I'm therefore going to put into practice the knowledge that I've gained over time. Then once you've done that, some of the next things that you're going to do is make sure that you track your spending habits. Many people fail to save mainly because of their spending habits. Because at least in one way or the other, every one of us that is on this call, I want to presume, earns. And therefore, if we are earning, it means that we have a source from which we can do what, from which we can save. However, our spending habits do not allow us to. And many of us, because we do not know even what we spend on, it becomes hard for us to develop that culture of ourselves, because we do not know what can we cut on so that we can start our journey towards saving. So you're going to be deliberate about tracking your spending habits. And once you've found that this is where my money goes, then you're going to ask yourself, where can I cut so that I can start my journey towards a better savings culture for myself? Some of the next habits that you're going to have to create for yourself so that you are better at developing a savings culture is pay yourself first. Alluding to the earlier point that I talked about of making sure that you track your spendings. So some of us, we realize that once we have money, it's really difficult for us to put something aside because there is a lot that is already waiting for this money. So how can you overcome these temptations that make us feel like there is a lot and therefore what we are earning is too little? Commit to paying yourself first. And by paying yourself first, it means that you're going to get a portion of your money. And whenever you get that earning, it's going to go towards your savings account. It's going to go towards the vehicle from which you're saving. It could be as little as 10%. That is what I would recommend. That is what many experts will recommend. Start with as little as 10%, so that once you develop this habit over time, then you can be able to increase the percentage for which you are saving. The next thing is that automate your savings. Many of us struggle because we want to first have the money in our pockets. And remember, once you have the money in your pocket, there are a lot of things that are going to be looking at it. But once you take a deliberate step to say that I've chosen to automate my savings, so whenever my salary hits my account or whenever clients pay me via my bank account, automatically a certain portion is going to be deducted so that I do not even have easy access to it. By the time I realize that actually I need to save, the automation has already done it for me, and therefore I do not struggle. Therefore, I can always put additions, but at least a portion has already been deducted automatically. So you can do that. Many banks have products that are going to help you to be able to do that. So just speak to your banker. You can, some employers have schemes where they can ask you to put aside some of your money. It is deducted at source, so that by the time you receive your salary, it is already off, and maybe you get it later. You get it later at the end of the year. Maybe it goes towards your provident fund. Maybe it goes towards your staff circle. Those are some of the avenues you can think about and that you can use to automate your savings. And then I would like to encourage you, as you're seeking towards building a savings culture, think about rewarding yourself for the milestones that you make. Remember, the first point that we talked about, set goals for yourself and then use these goals to give you direction, to give you the push so that you're able to save a little more. So when you realize that I'm hitting certain milestones of my goals, reward yourself. And rewarding yourself could be something as easy as you say that once I hit this milestone, I'm going to take myself out. Once I hit this milestone, I'm going to buy something for myself. Once I hit this milestone, I'm going to take myself on a certain trip. So when you have those rewards for yourself, they're going to motivate you because you're looking forward to a trip, but you've told yourself that I cannot go onto this trip until I've hit a milestone of having 3 months worth of my living expenses in my emergency fund. Or you've told yourself, I must hit my goal of 5 million shillings, and once I hit it, I'm going to reward myself with this. Once you start looking out those rewards, they start to motivate you, and in the end, you're going to find yourself building this culture over time. But also, when you don't reward yourself, you're going to find yourself, you're going to reach a point and where you start asking yourself, because you're not seeing any good thing that is coming out of this this habit that you've chosen to create over time. So ask yourself as a person, how can I reward myself? What things do I enjoy? And what milestones should I hit before I reward myself? And then the next thing is that I'm going to encourage you is that utilize the power of compounding. If you've been part of my WhatsApp community, you know that one of the things that we encourage people is to take on what we call the 52 weeks savings challenge. Now, the 52 weeks savings challenge takes on the concept of compounding, in that you start small, but you keep building on this over time. And when you keep building on your savings over time, you're going to find that you're going to grow in little amounts, and you're going to make leaps and bounds without even realizing. For example, you could say that I'm going to start saving 1,000 shillings for the first week of the year. That is the first week of the 52 weeks. And then, but you say that for the next week, I'll make sure that I double this so that I save 2,000. Then for the next week, I'll make sure that I add on some bit of money, and maybe I'll save 3,000. For the next week, I'll save 4,000. For the next week, I'll save 5,000. Now, usually when I've shared this with people, they have told me, but 1,000 is too little. I can surely manage. And for me, I want to start with huge amounts of money. I want to start with 50,000. I want to start with putting aside 20,000. I want to start with putting aside 100,000, because 1,000 is boring. But many people that have chosen to take that route, I've seen them struggling with this 52-week savings challenge. What happens when you do small amounts and then utilize the power of compounding and start increasing it in small amounts over time, is that it is going to help you to build that culture. It is going to help you to build that discipline. It is going to help you to, it's going to help you to know that, so I started small, but now I'm growing. And once you see that you're growing, you're encouraged. But remember, as you're being encouraged, you're doing it small. You do not feel a huge pinch towards your finances. So today, when you do 1,000, the next day when you do 2,000, the next week you do 3,000. It's very little increments, and because these are very little increments, you do not feel them, and because you do not feel them, it starts becoming easy, so that by the time you get to the big amounts you already used, you already know that I have to put some money aside. And because you already know that I have to put some money aside, it becomes very easy for you to do the bigger amounts, which many people want to start with, and then they fail. But when you say that you're going to start with the big amounts, you're going to be discouraged before it is long, because you cannot sustain them. So utilize the power of compounding so that you can be able to build this savings habit and culture for yourself. And then finally, I would like to encourage you that find the right network, interact with the right people. I can assure you that you cannot develop a savings culture when you're around people who do not value saving. When you're around people who are always going to discourage you and they are going to give you words like saving is for losers, me, I need to enjoy my life now. Darius, please come and we go out. Life is for living. Money is to be enjoyed. If you have people who are always giving you that kind of mindset, they're always going to pull you down. Like they always say, you are an average of the 5 people that you spend your time with. So if the 5 people that you spend your time with are people who are going to encourage you and say you that, yes, we want to enjoy our life, we want to enjoy ourselves. But as we are doing this, please, as we are doing this, let's first put something aside. Let's create a savings group. Let's create an investment club so that we're able to put something aside. If you're if you're in that kind of community, if you're in that kind of network, it is going to help you to have that culture, which is going to help you to also start to build a savings culture. On the other side, if you're in a group or in a network that is derailing you, you are going to be discouraged and you're going to look at it as what? As something that is not valued. What happens is that 5 years down the road, you start asking yourself, but Darius, you've been working for the last 5 years, but there's nothing to show that you've been working. Then you start wondering where your money went. You start remembering how you went to this bar, how you always knew all the bars. You start remembering how you always trended with the latest fashions. You start remembering how you were trending with the latest iPhones, with the latest phones. If you're lucky and you remember 5 years from now and you're still young, fantastic for you. Maybe there's room for you to develop and get better and start over. However, some of our friends do not realize it until they are 45, until they are 50. Then they realize, I have 5 years to my retirement, but I have nothing to show for all my working life. Then that's where you see people starting to embezzle funds, because they start saying that, where am I going once my retirement reaches? That's why you see some people are 60, some people are 70, but they're actively working. They do not want to leave their jobs because they are not sure about life after the working life. Okay? It's because they did not build these habits and disciplines that we are going to contribute to them and prepare to them and prepare them for their life after working. And one of those cultures, one of those disciplines that you're going to have to build for yourself that is going to prepare you for that time is the savings culture. Because like I said, it is going to give you a bedrock. It is going to give you a foundation for which you can start to create more income for yourself through investment and through wealth creation. So where do you want to be? I've talked a lot, and I know that I need to welcome any questions that might be there for us. But as I do that, I want to remind you that always a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. So I've talked a lot. I've talked about a couple of things. I've talked about savings. I've talked why it is important. I've talked about the reasons why we need to. I've talked about some of the tips, some of the ideas that you can start with to build your savings culture. I can talk and talk and talk, but it's upon you to choose to say that today I choose to start. Today I choose to change my course from someone who doesn't value the concept of saving to someone who values it and then utilizes my savings for investment purposes so that I can create wealth for myself. You are going to think about that. And then I'm also going to encourage you that visit my YouTube channel, which is Personal Finance with Darius. I'm going to post the link in the chat room shortly. Personal Finance with Darius. Check out our previous sessions. We've talked about different speakers that we've hosted have talked about avenues that we can use to save, but they have also talked about so once you've saved, what next? How can you utilize your savings to make sure that they are growing, and therefore you're getting into investment and you're making this money grow? Remember, we do not save just for the sake of saving. And then before I can welcome any questions, I would like to remind you. So those are some of the sessions that you will find there that you can start from, and you can always get in touch with me. Leave your comment once you've subscribed. Leave your comment, and I'm always happy to interact with you. But those are some of the sessions that we've had before. I'd like to remind you that next week we'll still be on. Next week I'll be having an interesting speaker who is an author, who is a transformative speaker, who is a financial coach, Barbara Katende. Some of you have interacted with her in her sessions, so you can look forward to next week so that you come and interact with her about creating multiple streams of income. But also, before I leave this session, I'd like to remind you, there is a talk around town, the MTN IPO. Many people are asking me, many people are inboxing me. They're asking, Darius, can we invest? Should we not invest? So I've decided that I'm going to have a session where we are going to have an expert who has been in this stock brokerage for quite some time, has analyzed the industry, and is going to analyze for us the MTN IPO so that we can guide our investment decision, so that we can know, is it something that we are ready for? Is it a good opportunity or not? Please, I invite you. This is going to be on Saturday at 3 p.m. Saturday at 3 p.m. If you can join our session with William Nyakatura, you'll be able to enjoy the session. The session with William Nyakatura is not going to be free like the rest of our sessions. That is going to be a special session because we are giving you knowledge and guidance that you're going to utilize for this investment decision. So for us to reward William for his knowledge, you're going to make a small fee of only 50,000. But I know that is not much if you've been considering investing in the MTN IPO. So as I move forward, people have been requesting for my contact. There they are on the screen. So the upper phone is the one you can use to reach me on WhatsApp. And then there is the email that you can use to reach me and we can interact. So please, if you would like to have a talk on financial literacy, that talk about savings, talk about investments, talk about planning for your retirement, you have an investment group, you have a savings group, you want to create one, we can always interact. These are some of the things that you can reach out to me and we will be able to discuss. Once again, I do this through Building Capacity for Generations, which is an organization that is seeking to empower young people as well as the elder generation with financial literacy, knowledge, as well as entrepreneurship skills for our young people, as well as employability. But I'd like to remind you, subscribe to attend our session with William Nyakatura next week on Saturday. Please plan to be part of that. Also, then later on Sunday, we'll be engaging with Barbara about creating multiple streams of income. So right about now, I would like to welcome any questions that may be there for me so that we can see how we are going to apply our knowledge. Thank you very much. Right now, I would like to take on any questions that may be there and allow me to stop sharing my screen for now so that I can be able to see the questions that you have for me. Okay. So I see people requesting for the session. What I'm going to do, I'm going to share this session on YouTube. So when you get to YouTube, you should be able to find it. However, if you need these particular slides, you can send me a WhatsApp message and I'll be able to inbox it to you. Also, if you've been receiving emails from me, you can be sure that I'll be able to send this presentation to you. And if you haven't, you can type your email in the chat room and I'll be able to respond to it. I may not pick up the numbers that people are sharing with me, but what you can do, make sure that you reach out to me and request for it, and I'll be able to share. So allow me, for those who are asking to be part of the WhatsApp group, just give me 1 minute and I share with you the link in the chat room so that you can be able to join our WhatsApp community and always be part of the discussions and see. Okay, so here we are. That's the link to the WhatsApp group, so you can simply click it and be able to join. And also this is the link to our YouTube channel. So just click on that link that I've just posted in the chat room and be able to check out YouTube and respond and be able to watch the previous sessions. So I would like to move ahead and check the chat room for any questions that may have been there. Okay. Okay, so I have some comments. Mary Joseph says, my biggest worry is that I spend only on needs and my income is too little than I earn. What can I do? Please help. And then, thank you very much, Mary. So I think as I presented along, you may have picked up some pointers of how you need to increase your savings or how to develop a savings culture. But if you realize that your money is too little, because indeed, like I'm encouraging you to save, you can only save up to a certain limit. Once you reach a certain limit, you may find that if you choose to continue saving, surviving is going to be hard. So one of the things that you can do is find multiple ways of how you can increase your income. So ask yourself, if I'm only depending on my salary today for my needs and everything that I need, what else can I do to be able to earn more money so that I can be able to have a surplus that I will be able to save? You ask yourself. Or maybe if I have something that I always need, but because of my little earnings, and if I choose to save, I'm not going to have anything. What can I do? Ask yourself, what else can I do to save something for myself? Now, our session next week with Barbara Katende is going to talk about creating multiple streams of income. I do not want to preempt what will be shared, but some of the things that you can look at, ask yourself, what are some of the skills that I have that I could utilize to earn an extra income from my job? You need to ask yourself, what are some of the things that I'm passionate about? What are some of the things that my friends consult me about? But I'm very sure that Barbara Katende will be able to give us a wonderful session next week about creating multiple streams of income, which is what we need to be able to increase our spending capacity as well as savings capacity. So if you realize that your income is too little, maybe it's time for you to think about increasing your savings. Increasing your income streams so that you have more money that is going to work for you towards having what you can save. But also, you can get in touch with me and we also interact more. Sometimes when I've interacted with people, we've gone on to an analysis to see really how much are you earning, and from what you're earning, how are you prioritizing it? How are you utilizing it? Sometimes we've picked up interesting insights, and we found that many of us have deep-rooted poor financial habits that affect us, that no amount of money shall we ever consider to be sufficient enough. Of course, money will never be sufficient. It's about how you manage what you have. So we can do a diagnosis of what you have if you get in touch, and we discuss and see what is your reality, and then we'll be able to advise on the next step. So someone asking for the presentation and being added to the WhatsApp group, please I've posted the link to the WhatsApp group. You can please check it out and be part of it. Like I said, I'll be posting this on YouTube, and you can pick up the presentation from there just in case you need it. Roy is asking, immediate gratification and seeking to please society is a big obstacle to saving. Wonderful. That is very true. Many of us want to satisfy ourselves in the now and forget about the future. As a result, we find ourselves failing to save because as we seek to gratify ourselves, we do not have enough money to be able to do that. Of course, keeping up with the Jonas says, making sure that we want to please society, we want to make sure that society should know that we are earning big and therefore we can afford a certain lifestyle. That also limits people from being able to save. You go to a wedding meeting because you want to impress the people that you found in the wedding meeting. They are calling for pledges. You make a pledge of 1 million, yet you know that 1 million is actually your actual salary. My friend, you're going to struggle with your savings. And then, so for all those asking me to add them to the WhatsApp group, please use that link that I've posted in the chat room. I think other people are appreciating. Thank you. I appreciate you. Would you kindly share the presentation? If you've been receiving emails from me about this, I'll share the presentation. But if not, you will also find you find the entire recording of this session on YouTube, and you can utilize that to listen to it again, or you can post your email in the chat room. And then someone is asking, is it good for me to first address my siblings' issues before embarking on savings for my personal growth? That's a wonderful thing. It's something that I myself personally struggled with when I just started working. And many of us in the African setting, usually especially when you're the firstborn or you're among the elder sons, once you've started working, your family has expectations of you. Your young siblings are looking towards you. But what you need to do as a person, you need to ask yourself, what can I afford to take on? Do not bite more than what you can chew. Of course, plan for it and make sure that you engage these siblings of yours. Maybe what you can do is empower your siblings to be able to make something for themselves. And then once they start to do that, they'll start to they'll stop looking up to you because you've empowered them to do that. That's one of the things that I did personally for my siblings. Once I realized that I needed to take care of them, but yet I, as a person, needed to grow one towards the journey of my financial freedom, because I do not want to be a person who is 55 and I'm still struggling with working. So I realized that I needed to start when it was still early. So what I realized is that I supported them where I could, but I also made sure that I work with them to empower them and they could start things for themselves. And because of this, now, in fact, they started to be able to support themselves. One, I offered her skills in tailoring, and once she started working, so she now caters for some of her needs. So those are some of the things that you can look at. Of course, you don't want to grow alone. You want to grow as a family, but you also don't want to have things that are going to drag you behind. So strike a balance. Make sure that you plan for them, but also plan for your own growth, and then use what you've planned for to be able to empower your siblings so that they are able to cater for themselves and probably also support you. Okay. All right. I see. Okay, Dennis Muirima is asking, I always try to save, but I end up using my money in my small business. Or what can I do? So, like I alluded to earlier, you need to ask yourself, or even before you start saving, what is the purpose for which I'm saving? Am I saving for my business, or I'm saving for another goal? And then once you realize that, it is going to be able to help you. So if you're saving for your business and then you realize maybe I need to use it for my business to grow, maybe I need to use the savings so that my business will grow, and once it grows, I will have more to save. Maybe that is the purpose and you will be able to use it for. But if you simply struggle and you put it in a business, and probably you also don't track if your business is growing or if your business is helping you, maybe you need to take some time and take a reflection. You need to ask yourself, so if I choose to utilize my savings for my business, what is my expectation of this business, and am I achieving it? Because I wouldn't say that simply save and have money somewhere for the sake of having it, yet you could have grown your business to be able to increase your savings capacity. So you could also choose to say that, so for my savings, I'm going to apportion them, and a certain amount is going to go back to my business so that I'm able to afford investing in my business without deviating from my other savings goals. So you can say that, so if maybe my income is still little and therefore I do not have much, and you choose to say that I'm going to save 10% from my salary, you can choose to say, so the 5% is going to go towards maybe saving for an emergency fund, and then the 5% is going to go towards growing my business. And then once you do that, over time, your business is going to grow, and once your business grows, it is going to give you the capacity to be able to save more. And then once it gives you the capacity to save more, maybe you realize that maybe you'll have the capacity to save more money towards your future education, more money to save for your emergencies, more money to save for starting up another business venture, more money to save towards your retirement account, more money to save for your insurance needs. And then the slides, sure, I'll be sharing the slides. Thank you, it is educative. Thank you for appreciating. So okay, someone is asking, please kindly advise on online trading. How true is it, and the risks involved? That is Sharif asking. So online trading, well. I don't know whether you basically, I've seen many people coming around and talking about different online trading. People talking about Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. People talking about forex trading, and okay, there are many things that people have brought about online trading. I don't know whether you're talking about e-commerce, where you're trading in real products. I don't know what exactly you're talking about, but I can say that for online trading, first of all, if you're going to go to trade online, make sure that you understand the business that you're going to trade into online. If it is forex trading, make sure that you understand its dynamics. Make sure you understand what it is about. Don't just go there because someone told you there is money, or just because someone is trying to recruit you because they want to make money off you. Think for yourself. If you're talking about the digital currencies or cryptocurrencies, ask yourself, do you understand them? Do you know their future? Do you know their origins? Hmm? Are you interested? But I would like to encourage you, if you go into YouTube, I have a session where I hosted a speaker who talked about identifying Ponzi schemes, and he talked about some of these online ventures. But yes, there are some online trading platforms that are genuine. The banks that we see, they do trade online forex. We have other investment firms who invest in currencies and they make money off it, but they have studied it, they understand the dynamics, and they have the capacity to do so. So ask yourself, I as a person, do I understand it? Do I have the capacity to do so? Or I'm simply going to lose my money? All right. Thank you. So I'm going to pick up the next questions. Thank you, Pius. Pius is sharing with you, has shared with you the YouTube channel. All right. Okay. So I think most of you are appreciating. So I think I've responded to most of your queries. I've responded to most of your queries. If you okay, Sharif is clarifying that he's talking about cryptocurrency. As a person, I do not understand much about cryptocurrencies. So I'm still trying to understand them. So if you're choosing to trade in cryptocurrencies, I'd like to ask yourself to really find some time and understand them, understand their origin. One thing that I would like to encourage you to look into, ask yourself, do these currencies have value or they are based on speculation? That's a question that you're going to answer for yourself or whoever is trying to convince you. But one thing I know is that in all the countries that we have in the world, there is just 1 or 2 countries that have accepted some cryptocurrencies, and they are considering them to utilize them as a legal tender. So if you're joining it, know that the little that I know about them at the moment is that their value is mainly based on speculation. Speculation that they will soon be adopted as a medium of exchange, and therefore their value will increase. So when you're joining this, join it knowing that this speculation could work out, could not work out. So there's a huge risk. Invest what you can afford to lose. You can invest for the sake of learning, but just know that should anything go wrong, you're ready to, or you can afford to lose whatever you would have put in. But I'd like to encourage you and everyone that is on this platform, cryptocurrencies, or rather the technology on which they are based on is something that is very, very good. That is, it's something that you can choose to learn about, and once you learn about it, it is going to help. It's going to help you to understand. Remember, okay, remember this technology that is called blockchain is being adapted for a number of industries to do different things. Banks are looking towards using blockchain as a technology. Legal firms are looking at it, and some commercial banks are looking at blockchain. But what I've seen is that many people, they confuse cryptocurrencies with the blockchain technology because the blockchain technology is promising a lot. So people based on that to confuse you into believing that cryptocurrency is the same as blockchain. So you need to understand that there is a difference, but maybe because of the technology that we are looking forward to having, you can be sure that maybe something good will come out of it, but that is up to you to think through. So thank you very much, everyone, for having listened to this session, having attended. I look forward to hosting you next week. And as I look forward to hosting you next week, I would like to encourage you that we shall be hosting Barbara Katende, sharing with us about creating multiple streams of income. But also on Saturday, I'll be hosting William Nyakatura to give us an analysis of the MTN IPO so that we can know whether it is an investment that we can take on based on the analysis that he would have given us, or it is something that we want to pass. My verdict, you'll get it after that session. I know many of you have been asking me, Darius, what do you advise? But you'll be getting it after that session. But you can send your payments towards those numbers, the numbers that you're seeing on the screen, so that you can be part of the session. If you send your payments, you'll be able to receive a presentation before the actual day, and then you'll be able to go through it. And then on the actual day, you'll come and interact with myself and William, and we'll be answering your questions about investing in stocks and shares, and particularly the opportunity of MTN, so that you can be guided. I thank you, and I look forward to having you next weekend. Thank you very much. Have a great week ahead.